What's worse, a hangnail, stepping on a Lego, or influencer culture?
4, 3, 2, 1.
Lift off and the clock has started.
Yeah, influence. Influence is what they peddle in D.C. for favors. Service and help. That's what you should be looking for. And most of those things I mentioned are varying degrees of irritating, but one of them is counterfeit reality, and it's masquerading as information bundled neatly inside a psychological disorder. Woo! Good day to each and every one of you bright, shining souls, wherever you are, and welcome to Balanced Fit Radio. Conversations on strength, meaning, and the human experience. I'm your host, Scott Schroeder, always flesh and blood. This voice will never be AI generated. This right here is a small slice of the communication landscape where fitness meets psychology, philosophy, and real life. Because true wellness, well, it's about more than just the body, isn't it? Let's explore what it really means to live in balance. Thank you for joining me, everyone. If you've been breathing for the past 5 years or so, you are keenly aware of the phenomenon known as the influencer. You can't go to a restaurant or a national park or the stinking bathroom anymore without some yahoo disturbing the peace, making duck lips at a camera, and desperately trying to convince themselves and the world that their life is better than yours. And nestled comfortably inside this Mephistophelian zeitgeist of inauthentic self-worship is the subculture of the fitness influencer. Now, let me be very clear before we go any further. Right here, right now, in spite of the fabricated narrative oozing from our screens, we are living in miraculous times. We exist in a resource-rich environment, the likes of which previous generations only read about in science fiction. I grew up watching Knight Rider, with Kit, a talking self-driving Trans Am, which was outlandishly rad. Now, well, talking self-driving cars are just traffic. But I digress. Here's the point. The two most important resources to humanity are time and knowledge. One of them is non-renewable and brutally finite because of, death. And the other is the accumulated source code of the epistemological and metaphysical advancement built across the entirety of human history. And today, the sum total of that knowledge lives in the palm of your hand. So what are we doing with it? What are we doing with it? We are building pedestals of false pretenses. We're tearing other people down so that we may stand just a little taller. And we're doing both because we've been taught that self-validation is the most important thing in the world. From this distorted set point, we get the influencer. Now, to be fair, most influencers are relatively harmless, overgrown toddlers who want to be seen and heard. Maybe they're searching for respect, maybe adoration, maybe meaning. They're chasing validation from an external locus of control we call social media. But the fitness influencer is where things get a little more dicey. Because now we're not just talking about aesthetics. We're talking about bodies. We're talking about health. We're talking about confidence, identity. And right now, all of our screens are flooded with an endless stream of videos featuring gym bros, and some women, who are of unknown training, unknown education, and unknown certification, telling you that whatever you're doing it wrong. And that's the moment you need to stop scrolling and ask yourself a very simple question. Wrong for whom? Wrong for a 22-year-old with unlimited time, no injuries, and a metabolism that laughs in the face of biology? Wrong for someone whose full-time job is staring at their own reflection under perfect lighting? Wrong for someone selling you something? Because here's the truth that never gets clicks. Fitness is contextual. Your body is not my body. Your injuries are not my injuries. Your schedule is not my schedule. And your nervous system is certainly not my nervous system. Your goals are not my goals. And yet, in influencer culture, everything is flattened into certainty. You're doing it wrong. You're wasting your time. This exercise is trash. If you don't do it this way, you'll never make progress. And that's not coaching. That's attention-seeking behavior wearing a lifting belt. There is a massive difference between being helpful and being performative. Helpful people ask questions. Helpful people assess context. Helpful people understand trade-offs. Performative people, well, they chase outrage. They need contrast. They need conflict. They need you to feel inadequate because your insecurity is their currency. Here's something deeply uncomfortable that no influencer really wants to admit. If the fitness sphere out here were actually about helping people, most content would be pretty stinking boring. It would sound like this. Well, what do you think? Well, it depends. Let's look at your history. Here's what matters for you. Consistency beats novelty. Pain is a signal, not a challenge. You're allowed to go slower. None of that goes viral. So instead, we get absolutism. And absolutism is poison to both the body and mind. Know yourself. Know your purpose. If your goal is longevity, why are you training like a competitive athlete? If your goal is mental health, why are you punishing your body? If your goal is presence for your family, why are you exhausted, injured, and irritable all the time? Context matters. And let me say this clearly because someone needs to hear it today. You are probably not doing it wrong. You may be doing something imperfectly. You may be doing something inefficiently. You may be doing something that could be refined. But imperfect consistency beats perfect paralysis every single time. Now let's talk about motives, because motives matter. If money is your primary objective, your life will be a disaster. If validation is your fuel, you'll never have enough. If fame is the thing you're chasing, I strongly suggest counseling. And that is not an insult. That's an act of compassion. Because chasing applause to fill unresolved childhood wounds will never end well. But if you reset your principles, if you orient yourself towards service, if you put real value into the world through teaching, listening, and helping, the rewards have a strange way of finding you anyway. And here's the quiet irony of influencer culture. The people who actually know what they're doing are usually too busy helping real humans to film themselves in gyms and on the floor and at workout facilities and in people's homes, wherever they train. They're too busy training those people to film themselves doing it. So let me offer you this as a grounding truth from someone who lives in the space every day. Move your body, strengthen it reasonably, challenge it intelligently, respect your limitations, be consistent, and recover like it matters, because it does. You don't need permission from a stranger on the internet. You don't need to choose novelty. You don't need to perform your fitness. You need to live in your body, not audition it. And remember this, fitness is not a moral hierarchy. It's a personal practice. And no algorithm gets to tell you whether you're worthy of the effort. All right. Well, thanks for spending a little bit of time with me today on Balance Fit Radio. And please, if this conversation resonated with you, share it with someone who might need it. You never know. Until next time, keep moving, keep thinking, keep exploring. And remember, your life, your potential. Peace out, homies, and I'll see you next time.